Hello, my name is Stephen Knight. Welcome to Office 365 on the Mac, Episode 1. Episode 1 is going to be the beginning of exploring file handling in Office 365 in the Mac environment. Later episodes will explore versioning, we'll explore checkout, metadata, etc. in the Office 365 environment. And we'll also explore the Office 2016 apps themselves in the Mac environment. So, got a few episodes yet to come to get through all of that. So, starting at the start, we're looking at the file handling basics in Office 365 in the Mac environment. Now, I'm using Safari as my browser for this segment. I will use Chrome and Firefox in others, and you will see slightly different messages between the browsers. For the exact spec of the system I'm using to demonstrate, please look in the show notes below where you're watching this video. The specs do matter. This is a thing with Office 365. I think it's a good idea to keep your Office applications updated, so make sure you've run your updates and also check that you've got your browsers up to date as well. Now, let's get into the actual practical side of it. I'm logged into Office 365. I'm using Dan Matthews, who's not a real person, Dan, but he's good for demonstrations. We have the new Office 365 starting screen. We have our tiles. We'll be using the Outlook tile shortly. We also have the app launcher with access to get access to recently used files. Also on this new screen, we do get the recently used documents and recently used libraries and files that have been pinned or shared with you by somebody else. So we can actually do quite a lot of work with documents right from this spot here, including creating new files. But what we're going to do, I want to go to a group library. Now we'll use a group library for exploring the basics. You will find that what we learn with the group library you can do with OneDrive, which is a library but initially just for you until you share or move the files, or with some other file storage library option that you'll have with Office 365. The characteristics are the same all the way across. So we're going to use a group library, and I'm going to choose Outlook. And on the left, we see the various groups that we are members of, and we're a member of the Department Q group. So we go to Department Q, we see the conversation area. We'll talk more about groups another day, but I want to focus on the file storage. So when I click Files, what I see here is the default view for a library that you would use for working with files. We're going to be adding and maintaining them, so we need to go a little bit further. Although again, you can do quite a bit from here. You can upload and you can make new files. We can also search. But what we want to do is over on the far right, click Browse Library, and this gives us an experience the same as any other library. So this is effectively Backstage for the group library. Now what we're going to do here is I have some files to upload. We'll upload one and then we'll upload a batch, and then we'll have a look at how creating new documents works. So I'm going to go to Finder, and I'm going to select just one file initially and just grab that file and drag it over. Now if you look at the top of the browser, it says drag the items to any location. I however deliberately didn't pick on top of a folder. If you drag onto a folder, of course, it will go into that folder. So I didn't want to use folders at this stage, but you could do that if you needed to. So that's one file. Let's do a few more. Now, when we do a batch, give yourself a moment or three for these to actually upload. So I've selected a batch of files. I'm now going to grab and move across. And again, we can see drag the items to any location. I'll let my finger up there. Now, patience is a reward here. We just need to give this a moment or two. They will upload and the browser will refresh, and then we will see all of our files have uploaded. Now, this is also going to be affected by bandwidth and so on that will affect your response times. And I now have all my files safely uploaded. So that's a tip there, is just let it go through and upload them. If your bandwidth is not really brilliant, don't upload a huge number of files or very large files in a big batch. Just manageable chunks. You know your own work environment and what you can get away with there. So what we have here is new files uploaded. We have the new little sort of starburst, sunburst symbol to indicate they're shiny new. That's the light reflecting off these shiny new files. Well, that's the way I read it anyway. Now let's have a look at creating some new content. I'm heading up to new, where we have all of our new options. Now, one I'll just mention is at the very bottom here, we've got link. So the idea with this is if you want to avoid having two copies of the same file, if another group or a team site or some other resource has a good document that you need your people to have access to, then link to it rather than copying it. And the advantage of linking is, of course, that you've only got one source of truth. It will look like it's in your library, but when people click the link, it will go and get the document at source, and they'll always be seeing the up-to-date version. Very good for keeping people on message. To give the right information to customers or colleagues is to make sure you're looking at the current version of somebody else's file. So link is good for that. We're going to make a Word document here though. And this takes me into Word Online. And this is going to be a report. Now, just putting in a very basic name here. The next thing I'm going to do is actually a little bit of a cheat, just to get some content into my report. This little formula will give me some random text. So we've now written a report. And just to give Word a quick tour, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, all available online, and Visio as well. And we've got, for those of you who are Word gurus, we've got our heading styles that we can use that you may be used to from Word. If I go to the Insert tab, we have a range of features, not everything, but enough to do some useful things here. It's more than just editing, folks. I think you can start a document off here quite viably. Now, so we've been working in our document, we've been getting content together, creating tables, inserting images, all the things you might need to do. I'm now going to save the file. So up on the black strip on the navigation, I need to give this a name, and I'll just type in a name. Now this, I think, is the easiest file naming you'll ever do, is you just type it in and press enter. Now, a little trick to watch. Watch the word saved while I type in the report some more text. You'll notice if we're watching the word saved, it turns into saving. There is no save tool with the online applications. So in Word, in the browser, there is no save tool. If I go to the File tab, there is a Save As if I need to get a copy, but there is no save. Just does it automatically, same across Word, Excel and PowerPoint. Now to leave our document and return to the library, I get on the black strip. We'll have some breadcrumbs here. And if I click the breadcrumb for shared documents, it takes me back into the shared documents library. And you'll notice down the bottom here, I have my Monday report. There it is there. Now, in a following segment, episode 2, we're going to look at editing, and not just editing in Word Online, but how to jump across to the desktop product. So we'll edit in classic Word and see how all of that hangs together. We'll also move on then to talk about versioning, sharing, and some other good key document handling skills. Thank you for your time. Please put comments, questions, topics you'd like me to cover as part of this new series in the comments area below.